I fully agree with what you've said. And Thomas Piketty has written a book, and it's pretty much a very well written thing, the French author, on capitalism and how it destroys societies. And I recommend that if you get the time, that you go through that book. The important issue is, and capitalism did give rise to the 2008 banking crisis as well, which of course then fed into society, and we've already seen the negative results of that happening over here. How do you justify a system or support a system where, and in particularly in relation to the ethnic minorities who have come and settled in Europe and in the United States, or in the West, as you call it, the West.
Yeah.
How do you see their role? Because if you see that there were, we had the first generation migrants, then we've had the second generation migrants, and we're almost into a third generation migrants who now consider themselves to be British. I mean, they don't consider themselves to be Africans or Asians or Caribbeans or whatever. How would you support that or how would you provide an alternative to them or encourage them to become, because they are members of the society now. We had problems. I mean, we found it difficult to, I mean, when I say we, I'm talking about a large majority of us, and we still do. We have people who've come over as immigrants even now. Mr. Mani, you said that the ethnic minorities in Britain are 11%? That's a significant number. 11% of the British population.
That's 8 million, and Prerna's done the research on that.
But 8 million was Guardian's report. 11% is higher.
Is it?
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe that's
So-
in 2018 and it may have.
That will depend on how you define it.
But anyway,
Yeah.
having said that, I think the basic points that we have discussed are correct. Anis raised the question of education. You raised the question of solidarity. I think you provided a better understanding of how we could, because we've identified the problems. We now need to go one step forward and say, how do we overcome those problems?
It's a key issue. How it's good, but you remember, we exist because we remember the past. So we must never forget the past or the future. What I'm trying to do, or what Namrata was attempting to do, bring very diverse people together on an anti-racist platform so that they can defend themselves. When I get
People
Bring 100 people to
for
do
the
what?
next meeting
For the next meeting to debate and more optimistic views on how
Thank
we
you.
move forward and how do we develop that solidarity, how do we look at our cultures and how we develop new cultures and new stories.
Can I also say
100
something?
people.
Let
From your
everyone
Yeah, no
also
problem.
look at the strengths.
I'll give you.
Yeah.
I'll bring 100 people for you, but then you've got to allow 100 to air their views.
Okay, we will do
if,
that.
Definitely.
And if people
Definitely.
disagree with you, it doesn't mean that they're disagreeing because they don't like your view. It's an alternative view that they're presenting,
And we are happy with that.
which is
And we are
what you
so
must
happy
do.
with that.
worldview, whether it's communist, capitalist, or feudalist, is neither here nor there. We exist, our children exist here, and they are increasingly facing a threat.
Yeah.
If you walk out of here, you may be denied just because you're black. No other reason.
Not black, even brown, Mr. Mani.
No.
We
Yesterday,
have
the racism.
third generation growing up here.
Yeah, no.
Who now consider themselves to be British. They have, as you said, and you correctly said, they have nothing. If they go back, they are aliens in their own culture and in their own societies. So we've got to understand that those are the children of our future, and they are part of this society, and they will make a positive contribution to this society.
How?
They do.
Let's just listen to him.
They do the internet, they do the social media, they catch on to news much faster than we do.
But
As
how
my-
will the message reach to them? We are only like.
Can I just say something?
How
Yes,
will-
listen,
can I-
listen.
can I- can I say
It's
something?
Coming up with a
Yeah.
very
Okay.
important
I have
Let
walked over
patient
I have
and
walked
I
over the
know.
years.
Listen to
Rena,
him.
Rena, one
I want him to
Listen.
conclude about what he's saying.
Can I just say something? We are sitting here, all of us. I'm going to tell you this. We are talking from privileged positions here. How many of us? How many of us? We are. My son is an architect at the Boston Architecture College in Boston. He's lived in Boston. His father is okay, but we still make a tiny. The majority of these people are apolitical because they don't know suffering. They've never really had to struggle. They would not, they are the most apolitical. The interest of Africa is going to be on their agenda if they don't have that connection.
Well, if I can
How?
come in, because
Yeah.
I work with diaspora organization. I work with grassroots people. You understand? Then I work with intellectuals who are up there from the diaspora background. The only way to break this chain is through awareness.
That's what we're
Even
saying.
from the word diaspora, some of these at the top, they refuse to accept that word because
How come you've never contacted me?
Pardon?
That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Because you do not go in and look at researchers who are, I find it amusing. That's why I said I find it amusing because there are researchers who are actively working, in the UK, but nobody seems to go into academic institutions and say, because there's a difference between the United States.
Academic to say what in
Who
academic?
are your researchers working in Africa?
Well, to a certain extent,
How come that has not been done?
the researchers working on Africa.
Yeah.
There is a lot of researchers working on.
Yeah, there are.
There are a lot.
And there
Me,
are
I
number-
learned
and there
learned
are-
from them, even from
there are
here,
a
from
number
in the
of-
UK.
There
I'm
are
coming
a
from
number
in
of
the UK.
there are a number of British organizations,
Yes.
business organizations, I must admit.
Business. Okay,
Yeah,
back
excuse
again.
It's not
can
even
I
business.
just finish what I'm saying?
Diaspora organization. For example, the African Foundation for Development, AFOD, is one of the organizations that gives me the inspiration in UK about taking the work of the diaspora.
Yeah, but from
These
what
are the
point of view?
grassroots-
No, but from what point of view?
These are
From one point of
grassroots
view,
ladies
all diaspora,
who-
first I'm coming, in terms of economic development.
What race?
Serious, you
Yeah,
understand?
okay, yeah.
Because I work with diaspora organization,
We
I'm
know
a
you do.
Pan-Africanist,
Yeah.
I have organization, I
We
meet with the people,
understand,
I meet with
exactly.
intellectuals from up to down, I research.
No, I
I
understand.
did my first
yeah.
degree on international development and NGO management, and my second degree international law and criminal justice. Okay, but that's not an issue. I don't believe in those names. I believe in practical, meeting the people, because this is where the problem is. This word at times we researchers are talking big talk.
We don't
It's-
talk big talk. That's why we
it's
talk
a good
now.
idea.
No,
but
no.
when you come, I'm telling you from practical. I worked with in Sierra Leone. I work with the grassroots people. I work with the grassroots people. I've seen the intellectual approach and the ordinary layman approach. At times, people with no ideas, they can perform well than intellectuals. I've seen it. I admire some people who I think they are not educated, but to me, I wonder what is education.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
just going to.
So, Abraham, coming back to your point, from here on, how do we take this movement forward? Now, what is the culmination of our meeting? What do you think that you are going to take back, and what is you are going to give back? Because as he's been given a target of 100 people, do you know anybody who can be part of this group and add
For
significant
me,
value to it?
particularly, already working on that, which Namrata knows about, I work with diverse diasporas.
Yeah, so we
And
want to get
So
the
how many
diverse
members?
diaspora.
So how many
I call them,
people?
if I call them more than 100 or 50, we call
50
them.
people.
we
You
really
can
appreciate
say
that.
More than that.
50 people.
More than that.
Okay, we keep you on the camera. Mr. Mani, please round off.
We must actually leave this room, otherwise we won't get this again. There are a whole number of issues, class issues.
Yes, they are.
As far as we are concerned, for the time being, class there may be a working class, but it's not a class for itself as it was when the Labour Party was founded and so on. It's very fractured. It's very vulnerable because of lack of education and culture, the broadest sense of the word. They can be manipulated, and they are being manipulated. And we can't make a contribution to that. You can work with the advanced elements, give them a perspective. And I have actually, all the 60 years I've been here, I've been part of the labor movement. That is a bigger issue than our existential problem, being that we must be able to walk along the street with unhindered. Our contribution must be recognized for what it is. The contribution is is multifaceted.